So it's been a while probably since you played Cube with us. Is there anybody here that you're worried about?
Don't know a lot of the people. So I'm excited to meet them. I don't know, like it's tough to say. From your videos, I mean, I was excited to try and play against Lucas. I know Lucas, but I don't think he's coming today. You know, maybe he heard that I was coming and didn't want to risk his streak.
Hello everybody, it's Milo here, and we're playing a Noob Cube draft at ANC Games. This is a qualifier for an upcoming tournament, just like the Mystery Chaos draft, just like the Holiday Cube. Big event with lots of gameplay coverage. The person who wins this event will get a seat at that draft, as well as the person who gets the most votes by you. If you see a player that you like today, just leave their name in the comments and they're going to get a vote. The person with the most votes in a week is going to get an advanced seat at the big event. So you're no stranger to the limelight of Milo Gathering. You've been in a lot of the high production value videos. This is a qualifier for the next one. You've never had to qualify before.
No, I don't think so.
So is there added pressure today?
Yeah, definitely. The other thing about Cube, which is funny, at least from my own personal experience, is the variance. Like, you know, last time I drafted, I didn't lose a game and it was awesome. And I was like, oh, I'm the best. But this time, it could just go completely the other way around, right? Like, maybe my deck isn't great, maybe my luck isn't great, or maybe I'm just not focused and I'm not playing well. So, I mean, one of the things you're in control of is just paying attention and making sure you're, you know, putting your all into the game. But other than that, it's like you see where the chips fall kind of thing.
Hey everybody, I'm here with MM. You're new to this Noob Cube business. What's your history with Cube and Magic in general?
Genuinely noob around the Noob Cube. I started playing only about a year ago, and a bunch of friends had been kind of encouraging me to play their various cubes, but I always found it kind of daunting because I wasn't that familiar with a lot of the different sets that they were. So that's literally my extent of it. The Noob Cube seemed like an appropriate place to start.
What's your history with Magic? You said you've only been playing a year?
Yeah, I literally found a card from M14 lying face up on Roncesvalles last May, and I picked it up and got really kind of intrigued looking. My girlfriend at the time started looking concerned, and then I started playing, and that's kind of it. Yeah, kind of do it too much now.
It's Cassius, you're becoming a regular here at the Noob Cube. What are your findings so far?
I think that it's a cube. There's generally a lot of noobs, and I don't usually do very well. I think that's...
What have you learned since playing Cube for the very first time at the bar? Now you're here at ANC Games playing Cube. What have you learned so far?
I've learned that being open about your picks is a lot more important than in draft. You can't exactly force what you want if you have people competing for the same cards that you want, because it's a lot more difficult. You really have to be more open, I think, until pack 2, and then you can kind of choose your direction.
Theo, we just met. What's your history with Cube?
Cube was kind of how I got into Magic. I started playing a popper cube that my friends made like way back, and then after that, I got into it. I started making my own popper cube, and that was done with really quick. I started making a cube full of rares and uncommons and stuff, and it was awful. And I've just been kind of like replacing it and like getting savvy to the whole format as I've been getting better at the game. And my cube is really good now, and my friends and I enjoy playing the hell out of it.
This is your second time playing the Noob Cube. What did you learn the first time?
Not a whole lot. I learned what living death was in the finals. That's right after delving. That kind of sucked.
Jeff, what's your history with Cube?
I'm a proud Cube owner. I love Cube communities. I used to live in Waterloo and in Vancouver, where there were these rich groups of people that,
Rich in terms of
moral fiber, who would get together and really like have interesting conversations over Cube, you know, social nights over Cube. We'd spend all of the hours playing, and in the end I decided I wanted to build my own. I actually, you know, spent the time trading and investing that now it's all foil, and I love it, and I always try and encourage people to participate in more Cube.
Mark, this is the first time ever that you're playing the Noob Cube. Have you checked it out on Cube Tutor? And I know you have, so my follow-up question is going to be, what do you think?
It looks like it. I checked it out a few times. Like when you first posted it, I wanted to just check it out, and there was like a lot of stuff that was just like, okay, this is clearly just lying in a pile, and Miles saw it and threw it in. But since then, you seem to be making like tons of updates on Cube Tutor. Like almost every day, I see updates, and the amount of like chaff cards that normally wouldn't be in anyone's cube have really gotten. There's very few of them now.
So you drafted this cube in Meeple Mart, and you won it. In fact, you've never lost a match in Noob Cube. What do you owe your success?
Well, it was the first time I drafted the Noob Cube when we were at Meeple Mart earlier. And to be honest, I have to say my success was based on a couple bomby cards that people didn't see coming. I think my advantage, even though I had never played this cube before, was just like, cube can sometimes pivot on critical turns, so if you have something really dominating to do in a turn and you can kind of walk your opponent into it, they can be at a point where they're just not going to win anymore. So Bane of the Living did that for me, Living Death did that for me, and I was able to just spin the game if it wasn't going my way and then win.
One of the things that a lot of cube owners go through is foiling out their cube, or going for the blingiest cards. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, I'm a foil collector as well as a cube artist, and I think it's personal preference. Cube is the universe you create. It's what you love the most about the game. That's what you put into the cards. I think that, whenever people have that, I started long ago playing this game, so I have the resources that I've built up over time, and it's been a rich journey to get there, to be able to even get to the thought of building a fully foil cube.
Did you manage to take a look at the list on Cube Tutor?
No, I'm a very lazy Magic player. I don't prepare for things very well at all. I pretty much always show up to these cubes blind, not knowing what's going on. I kind of just know the cards that I played and that I played against last time, and I kind of forget what a lot of that is already anyways.
And yet you made the finals last time.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a natural. I never read articles or read the tutors or lists or anything. I might look at like a deck list if I'm picking up a constructed deck or something, but yeah, I'm probably the worst to give advice.
Speaking of which, what advice do you have for people to become a better cube player?
Don't play like me. Maybe study, maybe look at a list, familiarize yourself with general archetypes, maybe some synergies that you might overlook instead of just figuring it out as you go.
Do you think playing cube has made you a better player overall?
Yeah, I think so. I've learned about more cards, and I think more about certain interactions that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about before.
One of the questions I'm asking everybody is how do you become a better cube player? What advice do you have? I understand that this is your first cube. How do you become a better Magic player?
The fact that you actually had this up on the Cube Tutor website was helpful. I didn't get to go over it with quite the amount of detail that we were, but I'm a big fan of being prepared, at least as much as possible. So, I will read draft primers because I'm definitely dedicated to my nerddom, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. And also just being aware of kind of the various synergies that are possible between particularly the classic color combinations, but also just if you start seeing overlapping themes within a cube, that in a sense can be a hint as to things you find interesting as its creator. So it's kind of like a puzzle, and you just kind of have to be mindful of the various pieces and how they can start fitting together, so you actually have a deck that makes sense.
One of the questions I'm asking everybody today is what can you do to become a better player at cube? You might be one of the best cube players ever.
No. Alex Dane is actually really good at cube.
But I mean, you're
even before the Players Championship, he was really good at cube.
So what can you do to become closer to Alexander Hayne in cube?
I think it's actually really tough to get a lot better at cube, because no matter what you put in your deck, it's a playable card and it's going to somewhat perform. So I think it's really hard to kind of get from, a good level to a great level. It's really, I guess, more realizing, first of all, you have to learn the cube itself, because if you start a new cube, you might try drafting something you're familiar with and it might just not work. So it's kind of just getting to know the format. But then even after that, realizing what the synergies are, what cards are powerful, what cards do really well. I remember even thinking like Upheaval in some cubes is just a bomb first pick every time, but in your cube you actually don't have that many mana rocks, and there's sometimes that I found like I sideboarded out of my decks because it's just not as good as it normally is. So it's really tough to get better at cube because of the fact that almost every card becomes dependent on the cube itself.
Cube more. Just play more, right? If you're drafting cube and you're playing, you'll get better. I mean, for so many of us, like Marc, who's here, and myself, even if we haven't really drafted your Noob cube, we've been doing it for 10 plus years, so we kind of know how it goes. Cube Tutor really helps. I know you have some videos on your channel. You've got like, you promote it there. So I think people should go and draft and kind of see what cards come up and how the combinations work, and figure out how to filter the cards out, right? Like all the cards should be playable. So you have to figure out what's going to make a deck that's going to win. So just do it more often and practice.
I think a key element to becoming a better cube player is understanding the cards that are not so easy to understand. For example, someone like a noob may look at an opening pack, like pack 1, pick 1, and see a card like Baneslayer Angel, and just be like snap pick, like I'm gonna pick that. It's a great card. 5/5 for 5 is a great rate, and it's got like 6 keywords on it or something like that. And they'd be totally right in doing that. That'd be a great first pick. But getting better is when you start to learn about understanding cards like Armageddon, like Tinker, or just like weird cards like that, or even like Wildfire. I think a noob might look at a card like that and say like, this card's like unplayable, like it blows up all my lands, like what do I do with it? But like as you play more, you start to understand more synergies. Like if I'm first picking this Armageddon because the rest of my pack was like kind of unexciting, I want to try something crazy, then through the rest of the draft I'm looking to pick up cards that either like make mana or do something on the battlefield that don't require mana, like Planeswalkers or like enchantments like Bitter Blossom or Awakening Zone, and it's like things that like give you advantage post Armageddon, and like cards like that really like turn on Armageddon and make it a great card in your deck. So I think once you understand the cards that are not so easy to understand, then you know what to look for when you're drafting, then I think you can become a great cube player.
So you won. Congratulations. Woo! Tell me about the finals.
Finals was against Maya. She was playing a green deck, and I was pretty worried because I hadn't played a green deck yet. And as mentioned, I thought it was actually the best color in the cube. So I was really worried, but she came out really slow. Like in the first 3 turns of the first game, she just played a Basilisk Collar and nothing else. And I actually tapped my mana every turn of the game for the first 6 or 7 turns in both games. Like I tapped out every turn, and she just didn't really curve out well. And then the second game she got kind of mana screwed. I think she kept, based on how she played, she kept a 2-land hand with like a Sylvan Ranger and a couple other 2-drops, which is like perfectly reasonable, and she just didn't get there in time. So it was kind of rough on her, but I'm happy to take it down. It was fun.
Finals, I just got my face stomped, but I was kind of expecting to fail in the finals again. Anyways, the first round I kept a hand that had a substantial amount of mana, like 3 or 4 land. I had both colors. I had some high cost cards. I think I had the Chameleon and Acidic Slime, but I also had a Jade Mage, so I had some stuff I could play early. Unfortunately, he had a very, very strong start. He played a 2/2 flyer that's black. I can't remember the card. I saw it last time he played the Noob Cube, but whenever it's a flyer, whenever it hits you, it makes you discard a card at random. So he hit some pretty good stuff. He got rid of like my Eternal Witness and things that I really wanted to see early. So I got my face stomped. I just couldn't recover from that. Second game, I got a little mana screwed, and it made me sad. I had good cards like Apocalypse Hydra and Surek, and Acidic Slime in my hand that I just could not play.
So I drafted red-white aggro, like hard red-white aggro. The draft went pretty well, except that I found out after that 2 other guys were in the same colors as me, like the exact same colors. We're all red-white aggro. I think one guy, M, had a black splash. And I mean, that being said, the deck ran really well. It was very smooth, but I had some mana troubles in my first round, and I ended up going 0-2, but then I won my next 2 rounds. Actually, this guy, Cassius, he ended up pointing out the win for me in one of the games. He's a really nice guy.
Bring it back and play in the big event. Do you have anything you want to tell people?
You should totally vote for me. I'll come back and I'll make it for the win, and you won't regret it.
This is a terribly awkward question for me. This is like high school all over again. Student council was bad. Bad news. It would be a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm a good sport, and and then that means I could give more awkward interviews. So keep that in mind.
Vote for me. I mean, if you want to see me in the in the draft, it sounds like it'll be fun, and hopefully I can make it. But I didn't make it on my own merit, so maybe the internet will send me there.
I just heard that people can vote for me to come back and play. Please do. I would love to be back. And yeah, I don't know, Theo 2015, vote for me to come back.
So you're the fourth person to qualify. You're going to be up against people like Noob Child.
Yes.
Do you have any words for your competitor?
No words needed. There's a reason it's called the Noob Cube, but when I'm around, you can't call it that anymore.